Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dipan Ghosh, and welcome back to another JavaScript video. So, in this video, we're gonna be talk about things like Fetch API, which is an HTTP request module, and let's see what Fetch API is. So, Fetch API provides a JavaScript interface for accessing and manipulating parts of HTTP request, such as request and response, and it also provides a global fetch method that provides an easy logical way to fetch resources judiciously across the network. So I can fetch any kind of URL, any kind of API to show in our UI interface for our projects. So I will show some example in this video, and let's get started. Let's jump into the VS Code. Welcome back. So as I was saying is that fetch API is a kind of API which can fetch something from URL which contains some data. Maybe that data can be in form of JSON format or in kind of text format. The thing is that it will fetch data from there, and we can use it in our own purposes, and we can use it in our own user interface. So for that, we're gonna use this URL right here. This is a fake URL which contains some data of some fake users, and I'm gonna fetch data from here. Okay, so how will you use fetch API? So this is only like this, like fetch method is there, and inside this uh, columns you have to paste this URL over here and just save it. And after that, let's log it and let's see what happens. So let's log console.log, and let's log in here, and yeah, and it's returns a promise over here. Okay, now let me say you that if you're not familiar with async and await promise return functions in JavaScript, then make sure you should watch the video right in my channel. And yeah, after that you can watch this video if you're not familiar with async and await. And after that, if you're not async if you don't know async and await, then I will use .10 method over here. So as you can see, this fetch API returns a promise over here, and this promise result is a response. And in this response, you can see the this URL is alright. I mean, it's working correctly. So this URL is okay, and it's not redirecting to any other URL or something like that. So it's uh, written false over here, and status is 200. And what is 200 over here? It means this is kind of HTTP code which allows us to know that any kind of mistakes, any kind of server error or something like that. So it let us know this. You can search in Google about HTTP code or whatever you say it, and yeah. So this URL. So everything is every information is over here. And now what I'm gonna do is that we're gonna use .dead method, and we're gonna use response, and we will call a function over here, and it will convert to .json format. And after that we will use again .10 method, and I'm going to use data, and it will call a function, and I'm going to use console.log the data. Alright, as you can see, this is a 10 method, and it's ain't working because this console.log, we need to remove this one. And yeah, I need to do this one as well. Alright, yeah, so it's fetched data. You can see there are 10 users, I mean 10 fake users over here, and it fetched data, and it has been converted in a JSON format. And this, you can see the first index is having a fake user, Culus Light is an address, email, name, or whatever you say it. And after that, if you want to convert into text over here, then you can just say text. And yeah, you can see this is a JSON format which I have fetched right from this URL. Alright, now I'm gonna do this one, JSON. Oops. JSON, sorry. All right, now if there's kind of error, like let's give an error, let's give user, let's say number 50, fetch users number 50, which doesn't exist, and it will return an error, right? Now let's save it, and you can see there is a 404 error, and this 404 error is an HTTP code, which as I have said before, that 200 code is an kind of alright. I mean, this URL is working properly, and this 404 is kind of server error, and this cannot be fetched because this 50 URL, I mean, at the last, this one, this can be fetched from that URL because it doesn't exist already. So I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna catch the error, and I'm gonna say console.log the error, right? And it will end work. You can see that this 404 error, right? So the thing is that this 404 is kind of HTTP code error. As I've said before, 200 means kind of good, and this 404 means kind of there is some problem occurs, right? And this 404 cannot be catched by this error because this 404 is responsible for this response, I mean, which I am fetching data from that URL. So it is actually responsible for the fetch API. That fetch cannot fetch API cannot get the request from this URL, and we can't give this responsible to this URL because this fetch API can't get the URL, right? So for this, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna do this res. Uh, I'm gonna open the curly bracket over here, and I'm gonna give if res dot okay, and I'm gonna use console.log. We will give yes, it is working, right? And after that, if it's else, we're gonna give console.log. We'll say oops, and error occurs. All right, all right. So as you can see, it's an error, so it will say oops, it's error occur, right? So what I have done over here, it will call back a function of res, and if this res is okay, it will say yes, it's working. After that, if it's not okay, else it will give it's an error, right? So let's give this also. um, yeah, it's working, right? So yes, so now we will try to add some data to this fetch API, I mean this in this URL. So there are some options of this fetch API is that I'm gonna give like this. After this last colon, we can give comma, and I can give this, right? Now over here we can give anything, right? We can give method post request. We're gonna use post request to add some data over here, and for that I'm gonna use body, and this body is something which I will give the data over there, right? The I mean, this body is kind of thing which I will add the data to this URL. So in this body I will give open a curly bracket over here. I'm gonna give name like the Payan, and yeah, let's give something. And after that we will close all of this. um, Over here, what I'm gonna give is that return res.json. Alright, so it's given an ID of 11. Now as you have seen before, that it's giving an ID of 10. Now it's giving an ID of 11 because it's added my data to this URL, so it's added at the last, I guess. So after 10 there is an ID, it's called 11, and the name is there, right? And it's ain't showing my name or something like that because we need to form convert it into JSON, because it has been converted into JSON, right? So we're gonna give JSON JSON dot stringify. I'm gonna stringify this all, and I'm gonna use this. Alright, so it's ain't working because we have to say that it has been converted into JSON, right? So we will give headers over here, headers, and let's give comma over here, and we will give content dot type, and I will give the oops, sorry, it has I have to give in the you know, colons over here, and after that I will give applications slash JSON. Alright, now as you can see, uh, it also in working. Oh yes, application, right? Yes, now you can see that it's showing my all data over here. So this is how fetch API work. If you add something, then you can also add, like we're gonna add address. Oops, let's give comma over here, and we're gonna add address, and I'm gonna use my address, which is New York, and after that I'm gonna use my phone number. As you can see, let's give some random numbers, right? So as you can see, it has fetched all my data and it has been added to this URL. So this was the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, uh, enjoyed this fetch API content. So if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button in the below, and I will give this link in the description down below, and make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and if you do like this video, then you can share it to people's, right? So yeah, see you later. Thanks for watching.